It's time once again to go racing.
The pressure is really on now.
And it's pole position.
And it's pedal to the metal. Go, go, go!
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Premier Sim Gaming League's YouTube channel for the fourth round of this F2 PC Championship. Today, the drivers are going to be headed to the Circuit Zandvoort for the Dutch Grand Prix. In this one, it's going to be an exciting bout that we have today. But my name is Dan, and today I'm not alone. I was feeling kind of lonely last week, but I have been rejoined by my lovely co-commentator, Chris Buxton, also known as King Kodiak. How are you doing today, Chris?
Well, I respond to many things. You can call me either. That's absolutely fine. I am ready and raring to go. Zandvoort is such a difficult circuit to overtake on. And following the event of last week, I'm very much looking forward to just burying the past and getting on with some awesome racing.
Absolutely. Let's have a quick look at the track introduction. You can see it is 4.2 kilometers long with 2 DRS zones for the drivers to utilize, and then 14 total corners around this circuit. Very tight, very twisty and narrow as well. It's going to be really difficult for these guys to overtake tonight.
Yeah, you can banzai into turn 1, and if you're really, really brave, there's a few other spots you could try, maybe turn 10. But the track is narrow. It is very bumpy, and it's really, really unforgiving. So it is going to be a big test on who's got the biggest bravery, who's taken the biggest bravery pills tonight, I think. We might see some more unusual moves going on. People may be getting a little bit frustrated trying to get past someone that may not have the pace ahead of them, but that's all part of racing, isn't it? So, yeah, come on. So we've had 3 rounds so far, 3 different winners. Will we make it 4 out of 4?
Absolutely. Well, that is looking to be the challenge at the moment. But before we get into the action, drivers are just loading into the lobby. Let's have a look at our previous week's race winner. And, well, the ending of that one was quite possibly one of the most insane and incredible final laps ever, because Ulas Zildrim, if I'm not mistaken, was actually leading. He had a time penalty to his name, and it looked like Samuel Bean was in really strong stead to take that win. And then he got a penalty in the final sector on the final lap, pretty much coming up towards the bus stop chicane. And then I thought that the win went the way of Ulas Zildrim. But in fact, it was this man on your screen at the moment. Jeffrey Ritchie managed to keep it clean without any penalties to his name to take the win for Haas. And let's see where that lines him up in the championship standings. It still remains the top 2 of Samuel Bean and Piotr Stahalek. And then Jeffrey Ritchie, the race winner from last week, he sits in 3rd position on 22 points. Shazoo gets owned, of course, Jeffrey's teammate. He's in 4th position on 18 points. And then Sam McBride, with his win to his name, he's in 5th. Christian Sendel in 6th position on 11 points. Norbert Jakob and HX4K John Evans, they both line up on the same amount of points, as well as Ruben Pedreño. I just missed that there. He is on 10 points. And then the last of the top 10 drivers, it is Chanakinchi on 9 points. And let's see how all these drivers have stacked up in terms of the constructors. Well, I don't believe that this is truly accurate. I think some adjustments do need to be made for next week. But as it stands at the moment, Haas are on top. AlphaTauri are in second. Third for McLaren. Fourth is the Williams team. Aston Martin and Alfa Romeo, we'll get onto that one very quickly. Briefly afterwards. They actually don't have any points to their names, and we'll explain why in just a moment. Mercedes, they are on 10 points, same as Ferrari. Red Bull on 9, and then Alpine last at the moment on 7. But of course, we do have to talk about why Alfa Romeo don't have those points, and that is because of a certain someone who I don't think we need to mention. His points are still being counted for his podium, so they've got to be taken away from Alfa Romeo.
Very sad, very silly action. That was overall just not necessary. I'm sorry. I have no sympathy at all for this individual. I'm not, not going to bother naming him. We all know who we're talking about. There was no need for it. Absolutely no need for it. And yeah, okay, he came clean eventually, but it took a fair amount of public pressure for that to come out. And very silly, very, very silly indeed. I've got, like I say, no sympathy whatsoever. I'm sure he had his reasons, but from my perspective, there's no room for it. There's no room for it in competitive racing at all.
Well, I couldn't agree more, to be completely honest with you. As before we get into the action, we do have some issues to iron out, of course, from last week. Let's just say it was not the greatest races in terms of the driving standards. We do have a few major penalties coming out of them. We'll list 3 of them. So we've got the first one, which isn't that awful, but it's VRT Norbert and then Paris Burrell. The brief description of this report is Burrell mildly impeded and or distracted Norbert on his qualifying lap. That resulted in Burrell getting a warning. And then we've got 2 very big and I would say quite detrimental penalties for these drivers. We've got Jeffrey Ritchie, Piotr Stahelek and HX4K, and the brief description of this report is Stahelek missed his braking point and hit HX4K, which ended up sending him into a spin. And he's got a 5-second time penalty and 2 license points, but the 5-second penalty actually applies to this race tonight. So we'll see how he gets on in that regard. And then we have one last penalty, which is the biggest of them all. Piotr Stahelek, Samuel Bean and Ulas Azildrum. Azildrum failed to acknowledge Stahelek and Bean alongside in towards turn number 5 on lap 1, where he moved left and hit Bean, causing Stahelek to be hit into the wall, lobbing off a bit of his front wing. And Ulas Azildrum from that one, he got a 10-second time penalty, which put him all the way from 2nd position all the way down to 8th, and also 3 license points to their name. But those are the most sort of worst issues. Hopefully we can have better driving standards this week.
Yeah, that's bizarre considering how big a track Spa is, but it's one of those things that everybody knows it and you always push that a little bit, more than you probably should. Now, Zandvoort is a track that doesn't necessarily get as kind of ingrained in your muscle memory as the likes of Spa, Monza, Silverstone. Those are tracks that we've had in racing in every form, every level of motor racing. Anything with an engine has been to those tracks. Zandvoort, however, a bit of a different matter. So I reckon we are going to see a bit more caution from some people. I'm hedging my bets on, you asked me before that we went live on who I reckon is going to take the top spot. I mean, you could pretty much pick a name out of a hat at this stage, but I'm hedging my bets on a certain driver, which I'm sure you'll announce shortly.
Absolutely. We can get into that very shortly, most likely after the qualifying session, which I'm pleased to say has just begun. The drivers are loading into the session right now, and it is, let me just pull it up here, it is a nice and beautiful sunny day, little bit of clouds overhead over this Dutch circuit. We've got an 18-minute qualifying session which has just got underway, and the drivers are going to be pulling out of the pit lane, out of the garage very soon, and it's just a bit of a waiting game at the moment. It's all quiet at the moment, but it only takes one driver to go out for all of it to kick off. I can see a mechanic down the end of the pit lane pulling out, and that is Neon. It's going to be the first one who's going to give us a lap, I'd imagine.
Out he comes then. Should we follow him through? Let's see how he gets on. Now it's a really tight pit lane exit here. It follows the inside line of turn 1. and then just works his way down through the ever twisty parts through to now this very heavily banked turn 3. Will tempt you to take it a bit more than you've got Ty Life for. Houseman has also come out on track. Quite a few people trying the mediums first off. Slightly unusual. I'm a little surprised by that. But then, I don't know how much time these guys have put into practice leading up to this event. Turn 8, very hard on the brakes. I know we're not at full racing speed. Obviously, no ERS being used. Steady on the downshifts there, Neon. Now, turn 9, you've got this long, sweeping left-hander. If you've had a decent exit from turn 9, you might try and move down here. Heavy on the brakes, down through the gearbox again for 10 and 11. I've got the sound glitch on the Red Bull. Lovely. And then 12, you've got to get that right because you're on the gas from here right the way through to turn 1. Such a heavy banking, you're nearly falling over as you come through the final turn as the first time lap now gets underway.
Absolutely. So coming down in towards turn number 1, the tight head, we'll likely see a lot of overtakes tonight, and he's taking that pretty nicely. His teammate just coming out of the pit lane behind him there. He might run into some traffic, Neon, on this lap. Possibly. He's got a Haas and an Aston Martin just a little bit off the road from him, but through the S's section here, and to complete the very quick first sector to 24.220. Now in through turn number 7, probably the fastest corner on the circuit, hooking it through turn number 8, I believe this is, and in towards turn 9. The Red Bull car really in undulation at the moment, coming up towards the DRS straight. We can see him going up there. He's opened it up, and I think he might have backed off, and indeed he has. So that is the lap over for Neon. We do have Christian Hausmann, if I'm not mistaken, on a lap behind him on the medium tyres as well, and he's about 5,000 slower through the first sector. But the German driver, now a full-time Alfa Romeo driver, making his debut actually with the Alfa Romeo outfit. He's coming through turn number 12 and through 13 and 14. Let's ride on board with him here and see how tight of a line he takes it. Doesn't seem like he wanted to take a tight line there. We'll see possibly towards the line. It's a 109.452, the probably the representative lap so far, because Neon 12.0 is pretty slow for an F2 driver. As I'd say a pretty decent time from Christian Hausmann there.
That's not bad at all on the medium tyres. Yeah, Neon got very heavy help in the third sector. Jeffrey Ritchie in the house has just nailed that one as well, only by about 0.4 of a second. In fairness, we've got a stoppage going on in Sector 2 that someone's pulled over, I think. Let's have a quick look, see if I can find what's going on there. I think it was one of the Williams that's pulled over, perhaps. No, I'm not sure who that was, but I think it's just someone. It was one of the Williams. Beg your pardon, it was an Alpine. It was Tom Martinez that was trying to find some space, as Hawk has just taken the top spot in the Mercedes. 108.687. There's some soft tyre times coming in now. Sam McBride in the McLaren slots into second, and Stowlek is showing his colours now. 108.637. Wow, look at that. 3 drivers all in 108.6. Hawk and Ulas, 1,000 to par yet again. The outlaps, or the early laps, the banker times, all really, really close together.
It's incredible how these drivers managed to bring these times so close to each other, and well, that really is it in true fashion. 1,000th of a second between them, as I think most drivers are winding down on their first laps at the moment. We do have a runner who's just begun his lap, Tom Martinez, in the Alpine car. He's not been too happy with his performances so far this season, but I don't think he's been putting in that many hours, given that there is a new patch on the horizon. And they didn't want to put too much time into this one just for it to be changed. So I'd expect later on in the season, a lot of drivers will be getting a bit faster, and this man is included. There's a lot of yellow flags, drivers doing very well to get out of the way of runners on their laps. And we'll see what Tom Martinez does through the second sector split, a 48.1. We'll see where that puts him in comparison to his medium runner compatriots at the moment, which I do believe is just It's Neon and Christian Hausman. So he's going to be aiming around about a 109.4, maybe 0.3. We'll see him up towards the line. What can he do? Can he go ahead of his rivals? And indeed he does. A 109.2, very respectable time on the set of the medium compound tyres. And I think Getone has also just completed a lap. And Louis Welch on a set of the medium tyres, the first medium runner to go into the 108.9. That's a really impressive time from Louis there.
That's a cracking time. Bearing in mind, you generally get around 5 to 6 tenths of a second difference between each compound. That's an absolute stormer. And there's another 108.6 on the board. That's Tunetank has jumped up to second position. That's 2 laps on those soft tyres he's just done in the Williams. You don't tend to get 2 hot laps done on the same time. Well, mind you saying that, Jeffrey Ritchie's actually done 3 laps on those tyres. We're seeing yellow flags everywhere because people are... and Jeffrey Ritchie has just dropped out of the session. That's a bit of a shame. Hopefully he's able to return. A few drivers yet to get time on the board. Ruben Pedreño just crossed the line with 125. I think we can fairly safely ignore that one. He has got a McLaren in front of him. I can't see which one it is. It must be Sam McBride, who is he's pulled over. He's let him through. Yari Fitz, Sam Bean and Cam Akinci yet to get a time on the board. Sam Bean on a time in the other Williams. He's just started his. So yeah, everyone's come out swinging, it looks like. Great stuff.
Absolutely, as Pedreño, that lap timer 1 minute 25.7. Of course, not where he aims to be, but he is on a push lap, so he's just going for a cool down, doing 2 laps in a row as he's just coming onto the DRS straight here and up towards the second sector split. We'll see what he does through here, and he's 11 seconds quicker, so no doubt he is improving, but of course that is unless he doesn't invalidate. It is actually pretty easy to invalidate just off the exit of the corner he's going through now, turn number 13, but he's done that pretty nicely, and we'll see what he does as he comes towards the line. We'll hop on board with Samuel Bean after this lap is over. Here's Pedreño to the line, he goes quickest.
Nice.
And the first driver into the 108.5 is a very impressive time from the young Spanish driver, and he's made it a 1-2 for AlphaTauri. Samuel Bean just about invalidates there.
Yeah, he did exactly what you were just talking about. Just went slightly too wide on the exit of turn 13 and invalidated that. That's a great shame. But yeah, currently AlphaTauri 1-2. They'd love that in real life, I have no doubt. Hawk has come back out for Merck along with Dylan Warren in the McLaren. Sam McBride on a hot lap, whereas he's just come through sector 1. I think he's seen a very slight improvement on his own time. So yellow flags going off everywhere. He is coming up to turn 7. He's backed off, I think. Yeah, he's already backed out of that one. It's such a short lap here, so people aren't necessarily, unlike Spa, it was one of the longest laps in the entire calendar. People aren't necessarily in a hurry to just do lap on lap on lap on lap. They don't need to. The lap is pretty short, so there's time enough to, if someone's been compromised or they feel the need to just recharge the batteries, go again, they're not going to lose out too much by doing so. So I'm not surprised that people aren't just hammering every single second they can.
Yeah, and I'd say that's respectable from the drivers here to be doing that. And I think they just want to put the best time that they can do, as HX4K is also going to be attempting that. He backs out here as he's going very slowly in the 3rd sector. That means, I believe, Dylan Warren is going to be the next driver on a lap. I've just gone on board with him, and I've seen him doing donuts. Well, I don't think he's done a donut, but I think he's had a spin somewhere along his lap. And that's going to see that one swiftly over, which I'd imagine leaves Chanakinchi, the next driver, to cross the line. And he's actually very far back. I thought he was further up and closer to the likes of Dylan Warren on track, but he is one of the first drivers on a second run.
Yep, so yet to see a time from Chanakinchi. He is coming through now, turn 7 into turn 8. There is a McLaren ahead of him, but it looks like it's on a hot lap, so nothing. Oh, now the Aston got a little bit twitchy coming out of turn 8. So he caught that one, but that would have cost him a little bit of time. And Boehner has retired from the session. Slightly curious. Purple sector 2 for Chanakinchi. So can he continue that momentum? A lot of people on hot laps at the moment. So people are utilising their time quite wisely. as Sam McBride has gone up into third with yet another 108.6 on the board. Can Chan join them? Not quite. A 108.7 for him. 0.8 of a second from first to 17th. Very nice indeed. Where is Yari Fitz? He's next, I believe, to set. Well, he's coming to the end of Sector 2. As we have a new, wow, goodness me, Paris Burrell in the Ferrari up into 108.517. So it takes the top time by about 400. Very nicely done.
Yes, so the times are coming down very quickly here as another lap has just been completed. Louis Welch crossed the line as we just saw Ulas Ildrim didn't find improvement on his run. He looked very, very bad through the third sector, admittedly, as I think Yari Fitz just gone into 12th position, but he's not too far off the leaders. He's about 2 tenths, maybe 2.5 tenths off of Paris Burrell, and he's all the way down in 12th position. So it's just a real tell as to how close this grid is. Stalek goes to the top as Christian Hausmann also crossed the line into 16th. But what a time from Stalek there, as he's got a great chance of putting it on pole with that one.
Yeah, as it was Sector 2 doesn't belong to him, but 1 and 3 do. Well, the 108.495. I'm just looking at the gaps between the times. If 1/10 of a second, which is about the time it takes to blink, would take you from something like from 11th to 4th. That's absolutely bonkers. And now it's half a second for the entire, with the exception of Sam Bean, the entire field is separated by half a second. And this is F2! My goodness me.
I do fear for what F1 times are going to look like tomorrow. If it's this close in Formula 2, where the field spread is a little bit further out than F1, we might see some exactly the same time, sort of like we saw in round number 1 of the championship, where the pole time was exactly the same between the two Alfa Romeo cars. We could see that possibly in F1 tomorrow. Speaking of that Alfa Romeo, we're watching one of them at the moment. Now he's a part of the Williams outfit, and he's about to cross the line here.
Pedreño
goes back ahead of Starlek. And there goes Samuel Bean as well.
Sam Bean!
Oh my word!
Oh, that's all. He's nailed that one. Purple across the board. That's all 3 sectors in the hands of the Williams. Look at that. 300ths of a second separate the top 3. That is insane. And we're still half a second for all 19 cars. That is crazy stuff and absolutely brilliant. I wonder. I don't know what happened to Boehner, actually. Whether I assume he parked that one in the pits, but is he regretting that decision? Because if he was able to find a 10th, he could find 4 places.
Yeah, well, I went on board with HX4K where I saw the stricken Williams off to the side of the road, missing one of his tyres, so he must have had an off at some point there. But as qualifying is reaching its end, we've got about 4 minutes left in this session. Let's just have a quick rundown of the grid, and we'll see also what all the times are looking like. Samuel Bean currently on top, and just a 1/4 of a tenth off of him is Rune Pedreño. Then Piotr Stahelek not too far off as well, about half a tenth of a second for Paris Burrell. I saw people asking if this was Antoine. No, it's just Paris Burrell. That I can see where that gets confused with Antoine being French and everything. As Louis Welch, he's just left the session, he's in 5th. Sam McBride, who's on his outlap at the moment, is in 6th. Tom Martinez also on an outlap in 7th. Boehner, who's out of the session. HX4K in 9th, and 10th for Ulas Ildrim. And all of those drivers separated by about a 1/4 of a second.
That's just... I'm still amazed as Louis Welch has returned to the session. He's currently in 5th with that 108.627, which was pole worthy not that long ago. That's the proper times have come out. Most people are on an outlap now. It's one of the Astons just winding up to start a time. That is Chana Kinchi that has just started what is going to be his final run, along with Shizu Getoned. Has he started to run? He has, but he's got someone right ahead of him. Well, I think Getone's had a problem there, so he may well just be wanting to redo his lap. Who are we going to follow? Who am I going to follow? I don't know. There's so many people out on track.
I'd say we've got to watch Chanakinchi on this one. He's the furthest up on his lap at the moment. We'll cut back to some potential pole candidates later on in their laps. I know Sam McBride has just started on a run. Starlex on his out lap. I think he's actually just about to begin his run as Chanakinchi backs off here. So that means we should go on board. I think the Alpine behind him of Tom Martinez, just a little bit down through the second sector split at the moment by about 0.06 of a second. So if he gets a good final sector, he can see himself a couple positions up the order, but it doesn't seem like he's challenging for pole for the time being. Coming through turn number 14, the Alpine car rises. We'll see what he can do as he crosses the line. What's Tom Martinez gonna do? And he's just 0.04 of a second shy off of his previous best, and he can't improve, but he does have time to do a cool down lap here and possibly go for another one.
He'll have to be quick. It's, I'm riding on board with Andreas Dormeyer at the moment. He's just purpled sector 1 and he's gone past. I actually missed who that's gone past. So a new improvement on the cards for the Red Bulls. He's coming down towards turn 7 and 8 now. He's got a fair amount of clear track ahead of him. One of the Ferraris is a little bit further down the road. It could be either of them. They're both out on out laps. Oh, this could be awkward if the Red Bull catches him at the wrong time. Turn 10, turn 11. Keep the car nice and settled, tied to the apex line. There's a new pole time from Starlek. 108.384. Unreal time. But what is in the hands of the Red Bull? Andreas Dormeyer. Can he do anything about it? Answer is he's improved in time up to 5th position, but that storming pole time from Starlek, is it going to be enough? We really won't know until the checker flag falls.
Yeah, we do have a couple drivers in the final sector. It's looking like a bad time for Sam McBride. He's just caught traffic in 2 cars of Shizu Neon and Christian Hausmann. And that, if it didn't give him dirty air, it definitely put him way off in terms of concentration. He's about to come up to the line. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't find improvement here. And indeed, he doesn't. I don't think it was a huge improvement anyways from him at that point, as HX4K, I believe, has just crossed the line. He's gone up into 7th position there. I think Dylan Warren's next, as Samuel Bean's just beginning his lap, actually.
A few people doing practice starts on the start-finish line. They'd be told off for doing that in real life. Yep, there we go. The checker flag is now out. Martinez and Hausmann, their day is done. Ghetto managed to get another time on the board, a 108.833. So a huge, what's that, 7,000s behind Villacampa. Hawk has parked it. He can't do anything else. Starlex still at the top of the tree at the moment. Samuel Bean, let's have a look at you. How are you doing in the Williams? Down towards... As Ghetto has retired from the session. That's turn 8 that the Williams is now coming through. He's going to be hitting the end of sector 2 very shortly. Let's see what his time, what his delta stands at. He's 4,000 up on his previous time. He needs a tiny bit more than that to get into the top 3. So Paris Burrell has also got into the 108.3s. 108.396 jumps him into 2nd position. Can the Williams do anything about it? Can he find the necessary improvement in the final sector? Answer is... he was 300ths down by the time he crossed the line. Worthy effort, but not quite there.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for him there. I don't think we've got anyone else on a push lap. So I believe that is the starting grid for this race. I don't think we'd have expected some of these drivers to be right at the sharp end. Stahalecki's been brilliant this season, yet to achieve a win. This could be his day, but of course he has that 5-second time penalty to contend with at the end of this race. So Paris Burrell also, he didn't get far in the previous Grand Prix, but to be on the front row in Zandvoort, where it is typically very difficult to overtake, I think he'd be very pleased with that one there. We'll just have a look at the gaps as well between all the drivers, as there it is. Wow, 11,000ths of a second separating Stahalek and Paris Burrell. And then just 67 thousandths, and then a further 100th of a second between Pedreño and Samuel Bean. The entire grid separated by less than 5/10 of a second. How?
Yeah. it has gotten very cloudy, and also noticed distinct lack of medium runners towards the end. So are we facing rain, I wonder? But the top time goes to the pole of Starlek. Just 12 thousandths behind him is Paris Burrell in the Ferrari. Then it's Pedronio and Samuel Bean. The Spaniards have a row 2. Andreas Dormeyer and Louis Watts have row 3. Ulis Aldrim and Hawk have row 4. Sam McBride and Yari Fitz.
Well, I think we could be expecting some rain here. But I've just brought everyone over to the intermission screen whilst we are loading onto the grid. And for the first time in Act 2, we have some PSGL pundit predictions. So I myself have gone for Ulas Azildrim for this win. He had some great pace last time out in Belgium, but of course with that penalty it really shafted him down at the order. Then we've got Big C and Wilson Hughes. I just wanted to include Wilson in this one. They've both gone with Sam McBride, but you yourself have gone with Piotr Stahalek, so I'd like to hear your thinking on that one. Yeah, of course, I initially was going to pick Piotr Stahalek for the win in this one, but then I realised that he has that 5-second penalty to deal with, and if he can't bridge a 5-second gap minimum to the car behind, it's going to be really difficult for him to take this win. So the drivers, you can just see they're on the grid there. They'll be locking in their strategies and making adjustments to their fuel load or whatever they can do in the setup limited to Parc Ferme. As I'll bring you back over to the race scene here. We're just going to wait for everyone to load in. So let's have a look at what tyres they've opted for. It's a dry start in Zandvoort. You can see it's a little bit split down the bottom, but of course all the top 10 drivers have to start on the compound of tyre that they qualified on. But interestingly enough, the rest of the grid is on mediums, aside from Christian Hausmann and Dylan Warren. I wonder what their thinking is behind that one there.
Good question. Now, that would indicate a dry race. Generally, as well, you know, if the bottom half has gone for harder tyres, you know, there is certainly not the initial indication of rain. It did cloud up right at the end of qualifying, so that was what was making me think we may be on for a bit of a wet race somewhere in this session. But generally, you see the harder tyres, or the medium tyres at very least, run for a while in qualifying. We only really saw them for a few laps right at the beginning, and then everyone stuck to softs. It was actually that made me think that we were going to have a wet race. But we will see. Obviously, the drivers know what they're going to face. We don't know what the weather prediction is going to say. We only kind of deal with that live. But yeah, Houseman, wow, he's really got to get on with it. He's confident about his start at a track where it's really hard to overtake. That's a risk. That's a risk.
It is very risky indeed for him there, starting at 19th. Let's just have a quick look at the track map here. You can see 4.2 kilometers in length. Once again, 2 DRS zones, which will be utilized in the dry conditions, and then 14 turns for these drivers today. And the strategy likely is to be soft to medium or soft to hard, but I'm not too sure we're going to be seeing that second strategy, as a couple drivers being disqualified from the formation lap for coming into contact to each other. It's TF10 Villacampa and then Shazoo Get Owned. But, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting ready for the start of the 4th round of this championship. It is, of course, the Dutch Grand Prix, and it's all gone silent on the circuit. as we just wait in anticipation for the lights to soon come on. You can hear the revs are beginning to build, and we got the 5 red lights here in PSGL at Zandvoort, and then we are underway for round number 4. Who has got the better start of the leaders? There's Starlek absolutely running away with it in towards turn number 1. You can see 3 wide. Further back behind, it seems like Louis Welch is looking up the inside of Andreas Dormer as they fly through turns 2 and number 3. They've all kept in formation further back behind, but there's contact between the drivers. Up at the rear is Ulas Ildrim going up the inside of Louis Welch, and HX4K losing position to Sam McBride. They're going to run side by side through 5, 6 and soon to be turn number 7. Who's going to yield? Who's going to come out on top? I think it's HX4K as there's bits of slides further up ahead. It seems like it's been an all clean start mostly for these drivers, and it's been very intense for them at the moment, as I think Samuel Bean, no, he's not looking for a move, but it's been a pretty clean start altogether.
So far, so good. Yeah, well, no one has been left behind. There's a few squiggly moments where people are just deploying a few too many horses. But my God, Starlek has already got himself 8/10 of a gap over Paris Burrell. He's almost broken DRS, in the first lap. My goodness me, he is storming away. Hopefully he's not using too much fuel or what have you. Yes, we've got 36 laps for him to be able to figure that out. Well, yeah, obviously he's going to have the fastest lap. What a start. Also, Samuel Bean had an absolute cracker. He nailed the clutch perfectly off the line and forces his way up into third. Not too many position changes. Villacampa down to the tail end. Houseman's gained only 1 though since the start. Getone has gone up 2. Zildrim and Welch have swapped round, as well as Sam Bean and Pedreño have swapped round and their positions as well. But at the moment, the advantage is with Starlek. He's right there, isn't he? He's almost managed to do it, to break DRS back to Paris Burrell. You know the Ferrari is not under too much pressure from the Williams at the moment, so Starlek's just got to continue this pace, but he's using a lot of battery. But then that makes sense. He wants, DRS. I don't know, is DRS all that strong? I'm not. I have commented a few times in Zandvoort, but not too many times in F1. I think only once before. I'm not sure DRS is all that effective here, but Starlek is just. I wonder whether he's thinking a lot on that 5-second gap, because look how much battery he's used. He's down to 30% or under that now, whereas Paris Burrell is just under half. And Sam Bean's got 86%, so Starlek has used a lot of battery to try and pull away. He's going to have to harvest some of that back.
Yeah, and that could come back to bite him towards the rear end of this race. A lot of this track is not under braking, you're going very quick at most points, so it's very difficult to avoid using up your battery. And if you use it all in one burst, well, that possibly could be it could be a very bad sign later on in the race. But Starlek's got to do all he can, and he's got to take those risks to put himself higher up the order. And of course, he is already at the top, as drivers not at the top fighting further back behind. I think Ulas Ildrim's just lost, 3 positions that is? He's lost it to HX4K, Sam McBride and Yari Fitz, and he's got Neon also hampering him at the moment, trying to look to the outside line, and I think that was wise of him to back out. But Ulas Ildrim goes deep. We got the brilliant helicopter cam here, as I don't believe that Neon has been able to get the traction on the medium compound of tyres, so will be strong later on in the Grand Prix, possibly in towards turn number 1. It seems like Tom Martinez also looking strong as well, right on board with the Alpine car in towards the first corner. Neon just about looking up the rear of Ulas Ildrim, but it's Tom Martinez to go late on the brakes up the inside line of the Red Bull car. He can't find the move there. He gave it all he could, but Neon held his line. He held very strong there. They're just fighting for the lower end positions, but a really great effort from Tom Martinez to lead the Ulstrat runners. It wasn't to be, as Neon still remains in 11th position there.
Yeah, well driven. There was no impact there as well, so that was, it was a good attempt from Tom Martinez, but that's probably the strongest place that anyone's going to be able to make a pass, and you saw how difficult it is to do it. With the pace being so close, although no one's told Starlek that, he's still dancing off into the distance, but he's really burnt a lot of battery to do it, so hopefully that's not going to hurt him too badly, but I fear it will. Oh my goodness, Sam Bean actually has a full battery at the moment, as Martinez has actually managed to get the move done on Neon coming down into turn 10. I did say there was another potential place to do it, but because with that left-right or right, left, I should say, combination. It's not an easy place to do it. Neon's actually now into the clutches of Dylan Warren. Right behind them, Boehner and Jeff Ritchie having an argument and nearly come together on the start-finish line, screaming on down to turn one. The Haas on the inside line. My goodness me, he's brave, he's bold. I think he's managed to make it stick. Dylan Warren has now gone up into 13th position. Bear in mind, he's on the soft tyres. He's got to make that move a little bit more. He's got to get further up the field. Christian Hausmann was up into 16th earlier on, but he's now fallen to 17th. Has he burned the best out of those tyres? We don't know. But, wow. The form is not written. Bearing in mind, yes, Starlek is running off into the distance, comparatively speaking, but he's got very little ERS energy. That is going to hurt him later on. And I reckon Sam Bean's in a real strong position here. He's just staying in the tyre tracks of Paris Burrell, who's using a fair amount of energy to try and keep up with Stowlek and probably keep Sam Bean in check. But I reckon the Williams is in for a good shot of the win here.
Yeah, absolutely, as he was actually trying to fight Paris Burrell just about this time last lap, and he could be going for it in towards turn number one this time by, because you can see he's going to go up the inside line, pulling, it's an easy move for him, in towards P2, and with Starlek not pulling a 5 second gap just yet. That means Samuel Bean will eventually be leading this Grand Prix. Of course, we can't count that. We can't count any chickens before they hatch. We've got to wait for another 31 laps of brilliant action so far. I really do have to commend the drivers for how they've driven. Hopefully I haven't jinxed that at all, but it's been really clean so far in this race. It's really polarizing of the previous week in Spa, but with that battling between Samuel Bean and Paris Burrell, it's put the Ferrari car in the clutches of the two behind him, of Ruben Pedreño and Andreas Dormeyer, the sister cars, as we got a yellow flag. It's Chanakinchi off into the gravel there, and I wonder if he's had any contact with anyone, and but he's got a lot of gravel on those tyres, and he will be hoping for a safety car at this point.
Yeah, he was facing the wrong way deep into the gravel trap at turn 8. Can't see any obvious damage to the car. The end plates are still there, so that may well have been an unforced error on the form of the Aston Martin. Oh dear, first victim there, but it's still going. We'll say, I'm wondering when the soft runners are going to come in. I'm assuming they're going to come in the next kind of 3 to 4 laps, so it's a rough guess. But we will see. Stowlek still trying to press on, but he's very nearly completely run out of that ERS battery. Yeah, I do keep going on about that, but it's a fair amount of horsepower he's needing to remain up front. And everyone behind him has got a lot of battery power. He has next to none. That is likely to bite him later on, but we will see. We don't know how this race is going to go. For all we know, the weather is going to change. There is a few clouds around, but nothing for the drivers to immediately worry about. As you mentioned earlier, Dan, there may well be a safety car as yet. We will see. Starlek leads by 1.8 seconds over Sam Bean. The Ferrari of Paris Burrell pretty much equidistant between Sam and Ruben Pedreño, who himself has got Andreas Dormeyer for company. The top 5 fairly close. Bit of a gap back to Louis Welch in 6th position, with Hawk with a big crowd behind him in 7th position.
Jari Fitz trying to look to the inside line. HF4K tried to go defensive there, but I think Jari Fitz, he was really committed with that move. He goes up the inside line in towards turn number 1. I wasn't actually expecting him for HX4K to defend like he did, but John Evans, he gave it all he could. It was futile against Jari Fitz. He slides his way up into 7th position as there's a spinner in the back. Is Boehner without a front wing. Ika Baena has got no front wing at all. That is going to be a painfully long ride back to the pit lane to get that wing replaced, and even through turn number 7, it's agonizingly slow for the Williams car. That's another casualty, as I just actually realized we've seen already a pit stop. A helmetless Dylan Warren, he's just got his balaclava on in that car, but he is in 19th. He's pitted for a set of the medium compound tyres, and that is interesting. I'd actually say bit early from him, and I don't think those mediums realistically have a chance of getting to the end, so I think he's going to do a 2-stopper here.
Yeah, new front wing on the McLaren. I saw him come in and had a look. He had a new front wing go on, so I wonder whether it was him and Chanakinchi that came together that caused the Aston Martin to go off the road. We don't know. We didn't see as Jeffrey Ritchie and Ulysses Ildrim swap round into turn 1. I think the best of the soft tyres has probably gone by now, as Boehner has managed to make it back. Like I said, that was a very painful drive for the Williams, but in he comes. New front ring. Words fail. Hard tyres going on to Boehner as well as the new front wing. Yeah, I'm with you. I cannot see those medium tyres on the McLaren lasting to the end of the race. But, we will see. Stranger things have happened. But, yeah, I would imagine with Boehner fitting the hard tyres, that's confirming a fully dry race to be expected. And he's likely to make it to the end. But those hard tyres being, a good second off the pace of the softs, especially here where the lap is so short, that's going to be a long and painful drive for Boehner, I'd have thought. He'll be lucky to get into the points.
Yeah, he's just got to hope for a safety car to bring him back into the action. It does give him a little bit more flexibility in that he is at the back of the grid, so possibly he could make a bit more outgoing and bold strategy call as Ulysses Ildrim being overtaken by Shizu get owned. It seems like the soft runner, the Aston Martin car, my prediction to win this race. He's not having a great drive so far, so it might have been a slight commentator's cursory on him as I hold my hands up there. I do apologise for that one. It seems like the closest battles on circuit are actually for some of the top positions. Paris Burrell, not too far off the back of Samuel Bean. I'm just quickly going to bring up the telemetry to check the batteries of these drivers, and now it's kind of flipped around for them because Samuel Bean's got just less than half of his ERS, and Paris Burrell's been able to save behind the Williams car. Now he's almost on a full battery. He's on about 85, and now he's of course in the braking zone. It goes all the way up to 90. So I'd say Paris Burrell's also in a very strong position here, and these drivers are going to be, I'd say, trying to work with each other to keep with Piotr Stahelek, who's absolutely romped away with this race so far. Because he is 2.3 seconds ahead of Samuel Bean in 11 laps. If he can keep up with this pace, then he'll be home happy as HX4K. The first of the soft runners coming into the pit lane. And it's a time penalty for HX4K onto a set of the medium tyres for him and Sam McBride. I imagine Christian Hausmann as well going to opt for the medium tyres. HX4K, though, that is going to be so painful in the pit lane.
Yeah, and it was by such a tiny margin as well. But that's the nature of that's the name of the game, isn't it? You got to get all these little adjustments. You got to work out these tiny little mistakes. Paris Burrell now really on Sam Bean's case. He's got that full battery. Yeah, exactly as you say. It's roles reversed from Sam Bean and Paris Burrell from when the Williams were behind the Ferrari. Now the Williams feeling the need to really deploy a lot of power, and he's now looking at a similar state of play to Stahelek, who's actually done a pretty good job of maintaining around about between 10 and 20%. He's actually always had power to use. Hasn't gone quite down to zero. I mean, it doesn't work too well. Sam Bean, oh no, he's done the same again. So that's medium tyres coming out for the soft runners. Stahelek, interestingly, has chosen to continue along with Burrell, Dormeyer and Jari Fitz. Have all chosen to do another lap. What's Ildrim doing? He's chosen to go on. I'm surprised, actually, Ulysses Ildrim has chosen to carry on because he's been really struggling on those soft tyres. So that is a little bit of a surprise, but everybody except for Boehner onto the medium tyres.
It's just so agonisingly painful there as Louis Welch looking onto the back of HX4K. They're going to run wheel to wheel and actually make contact between the pair of them through turn number 5 and turn 6. But Louis Welch just going to muscle him out of the way, and he's actually made that move very nicely. Just coming out of the pit lane there, the Alpine car, he was behind HX4K. He managed to get the jump on Louis Welch out of the pit lane with the one-lap undercut, if I'm not mistaken. And he's done so well, Louis Welch, to make that one, as he is now up into a net P6 or 7, if I'm not mistaken. So really strong stuff from Louis Welch there, trying to take all the points he can for Alpine as he slides through turn number 10. As we got the next pit stopper, as Andreas Dormer actually sets the fastest lap, interestingly enough, on 12-lap-old medium tyres. But Stahelek and Jari Fitz in the pit lane. That just leaves a few of the soft runners out. Paris Burrell, Andreas Dormer, and then Ulysses Ildrim, who's just been overtaken by Oscar Villacampa.
Yeah, I think he's leaving that too long, in my opinion. Azildrim is just running those tyres needlessly long, but yeah, he knows what he's doing. Yeah, great lap from Dormeyer. He's got that fastest lap by quite a way, I think. Just double check how much that is, if I get my buttons correct. Let's have a look. Well, comparatively by quite a way. So he's going to 1:11.155 for Dormeyer, whereas where's Starlake? Yeah. Oh, okay. He's taken that by 0.03 of a second, so it wasn't as big a gap as I thought it was. But yeah, fair play to Dormeyer. So that'll be down to the slipstream that he's got behind the Ferrari. Are they coming in this time? The Ferrari does, the Red Bull does not, curiously. So Dormeyer is continuing on another lap. Well, if he can make it work, then fair play to him.
Absolutely, and while all that was happening, we've seen a brilliant battle between the likes of Louis Welch, Jari Fitz, and HX4K, as Jari Fitz was overtaken by Louis Welch and then actually came back at him through turn number 7 and made a brilliant move at stick on the Alpine car to get back up ahead of him. But now, aside from Andreas Dormeyer, the lone soft runner, all of the medium runners are out on circuit, and they'll be hunting down the likes of Villacampa, Get Owned, and Neon, who haven't made their stops yet. But of course, later on, if they do, I'd imagine they go on to a set of the soft compound tyres. They will be rapid in comparison to their medium rivals, so it might look a bit ill-fated for them at the moment, but I'd imagine that later on in this race they will come into play, as Stahalek's going to look to make his first overtake on the alternate strategy runners, as Oscar Villacampa is just in front of him, struggling a little bit. He's a couple of seconds adrift from the other medium tyre runners, as Andreas Dormeyer finally, on the beginning of lap 15, he comes into the pit lane to get his car serviced. Stalek takes his fastest lap away from him, a 1:10.9, a brilliant time from him there.
Starlake is doing what he can to overcome that penalty, but now he's got his fate full of Ferrari, and this is going to hurt because, like I say, he's got that 5-second penalty to overcome. He's got a second behind him to Sam Bean. Now, Sam, of course, has got that speeding in the pit lane penalty, but so his next opponent, vertical comments, is Ruben Pedreño, and that's very clearly within 5 seconds. So Starlek's still got it all to do. Is Ruben Pedreño going to try and hold back the likes of Paris Burrell? So the second AlphaTauri has managed to jump the Ferrari in the pit lane, and Starlek still can't get past Villacampa as they come through turn 8. Is he going to try and banzai this one into turn 10? He stayed where he is, but as Villacampa clouts the apex at turn 10 pretty hard, upsets the balance of the car a little bit. So this is an opportunity for Starlake, if nothing else, to gain a little bit of ERS energy back, but it is costing him time. Sam Bean is closed in that gap a little bit. He's now got DRS off the back of Starlake, and there goes the pole. He's made it past Villacampa now into 5th position. He's just going to have to hope that Sam Bean struggles a little bit more than he did to get past Villacampa if he's going to overcome that 5-second penalty.
Yeah, Villacampa could be saying that you could say he's the cork in the bottle for the leaders at the moment. Azulis Azildrim, who's only made his stop a couple of laps ago, he sets the fastest lap, but he's all the way down in 18th position as Villacampa. He's just a little bit adrift from Starlek, as I wonder if he's going to be this tough on Samuel Bean, who's right behind him at the moment. Of course, fellow countrymen. I wonder if they've got any ties in that regard, that they might be favouring each other. I'd hope that's not the case. I'd hope that they'd all be fair amongst each other, but we'll see how that works out. And I think actually Villacampa's being able to keep decent pace here, as I think, it might have been another off for Chanakinchi at the same place as well. I think turn number 8, and he's gone off again.
Has indeed, as his teammate Alyssa Zildrim has just gone past him. Chanakinchi's just let him go there. So is there damage on that first Aston Martin? Neon and Ghetto side by side going through turn 1, but that carried on right up to turn 3. That was a bit of a fight. That's going to help Starlek gain a bit of time on them. He's still 2 seconds behind that particular fight. So he's pressing on, still with very little battery power to speak of, but that battle for second is still raging on. Tom Martinez has done pretty well to get a 3.5 second lead over his fellow medium starters. Keep half an eye on that Alpine. Of course, he's going to be on the soft tyres when he comes in around about, has to guess, about 5 to 6 laps time, or certainly within the next 5 to 6 laps, I'd have thought, to ditch those medium tyres. So that Alpine could also be quite handy to challenge for the top spots, but we will see. But Getone is having a great scrap with his fellow Shazoo runner Neon.
And he almost went into the back of his teammate in towards turn number 1, but he just about managed to avoid him and getting a brilliant run out of turn number 14. He's going to look to the inside line. Imagine Jeffrey Ritchie's going to also try and help him with some slipstream, trying to go up the inside line. Neon fighting it around the outside. They're going to be wheel to wheel once again. I think Neon, he's done some brilliant defending in this race, previously with Tom Martinez, and now with Get Owned, his fellow Shazoo compatriot. He's been brilliant today on the alternate strategy in terms of defending, and Piotr Starlek, with all this battling in front of him, I don't think he'll be too happy to see these guys so close together, and a couple of laps adrift from their pit stops, I would imagine, because if they're fighting this hard, it's going to be so difficult for him to make an overtake. And you saw how he struggled with Villacampa. That was just him on his own with 3 cars in front of him. It's going to be so difficult for him to make a overtake, because they're fighting for position as well. It's not like he's a lap ahead and he's going to have blue flags. He's got to make this overtake on track, and it's going to be so tricky for him. He's about 6/10 adrift coming on to lap number 19. They're just at the halfway stage in this race. Your leader at the moment is Tom Martinez, but your net leader is this man, Piotr Starlek, as he's closing up to the back of his rivals.
Yeah, Sam Bean, a good run out of the exit of turn 13, is just breezing past Villacampa and Pedreño. Oh, what a cheeky move there on the inside line of Sam Bean, but cannot make it stick. That was a great effort, though. He really capitalised on the slipstream that the Williams had and tried to muscle his way through. Didn't quite work for him. But crucially, they are 1.5 seconds behind Starlek, who's now in that particular pack, as the 2 Ferraris have also swapped around. I can't imagine Villacampa really held up his teammate too much there. Now Starlek, he's got to get past this pack, and he's got to do it quickly if he's going to have any hope of keeping Sam Bean behind him. He's going to try and banzai on the inside of Getone coming up towards turn 3. He can't quite get it done, even though those tyres are very fresh. Cannot get it done. This is all helping Tom Martinez. Yeah, I thought Starlek was going to try it to turn 10, but again, he just cannot get it done. Getone has every right to defend that position. Yes, you could argue he's not realistically in this fight, but on-track position is valid for anyone that is in that spot. That's not under blue flags. He's not being lapped, etc., etc. Neon's coming in, so that's possibly a little earlier than I was expecting. But Getone, my God, he had a hell of a run. Oh, and Starlet's gone deep. Starlet's gone very deep into turn 1, so that's not going to help him. Neon has, of course, gone on to these soft tyres. So Starlek's doing what he can, but we've seen how hard it is to make those on-track overtakes as the 2 Haas drivers now. Bearing in mind that, Ritchie is a race winner from last week. Okay, with a bit of help, you could argue, but he's still got that race win behind him. Getone has been on the podium. He was third place in France. So these guys are quick. I mean, everybody in this split is quick. I'm well aware of that. But these guys are not easy to overtake. This track is not easy to overtake on. And Sam Bean is now back within a second of Starlek. So everyone from Getone down, third down to 9th, all has DRS off one another. Oh, Starlek nearly slams into the back of Getone. I don't think there was contact there, but it was enough. If there was, it was enough to kind of nudge Getone down of the way. So he's got one. He's not realistically going to get the other one, I'd have thought. Oh, never mind. Jeffrey Ritchie's gone into the pits. That's ideal for Starlek. So now the medium starters are beginning to ditch their tyres. Villacampa's come in as well. So that's not ideal for Starlek. He would have wanted a bit more of a buffer between himself and Sam Bean. But Getone has decided to carry on going. Of course, Tom Martinez, who's now got over 5 seconds over this battle, is he's in a great position at the moment. Neon now up to 12th. Now switch over to the soft tyres. There's so many people that could potentially challenge for the win. It's difficult to know where to look.
Absolutely, as battle's still raging on in this, well, slightly smaller train than it was before, but Paris Burrell is looking pretty strong onto the back of Ruben Pedreño. This is for the final spot on the podium, and when you take into account the penalty for Piotr Stahelek and the 5 seconds for speeding for Samuel Bean, this could be the fight for the win. Of course, if neither driver ahead of them pulls out a gap, these two could be racing for the win of the Dutch Grand Prix, as Samuel Bean is struggling a little bit behind the Haas car of Getone, who I'd imagine is going to look to pit this lap. Tom Martinez actually opts to stay out. What about Getone? He's going to pull into the pit lane there as that unleashes Samuel Bean. But what about Paris Burrell possibly looking onto the back of Ruben Pedreño, as Andres Dormeyer not too far off this train as well. He's just set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, lap 22 here out of 36, and it is all kicking off in Zandvoort.
Yes, please, and more of this as the fastest lap now goes over to Shazoo Neon. Cars behind him are still all clumped together as well. Jeffrey Ritchie with Christian Hausman for company. So several people, of course, pitted out of sequence. Hausman, Dylan Warren, rather, didn't pit with everybody else. Of course, Boehner is, well, very much nowhere to be seen. He had to go onto the hard tyres with a new nose right at the beginning of the race. But yeah, I think you're right. I think the Pedreño-Paris Burrell battle is really the one to keep an eye on for the potential win. All they have to do is just not take each other off, and they are in a brilliant position. But I'm also keeping an eye on those now soft runners, because they're only about, what are they, about 6 or 7 seconds back? Let's have a look at what the gap is. What are they, between Paris and Neon? Okay, it's about 10 seconds back to Neon with 13 and a bit laps to go. It's doable if he can get the moves done. Those soft tyres are, they'll be pretty knackered by the time he gets there, but yeah, don't discount them just yet.
Absolutely, we've still got to think about the race leader at this point, Tom Martinez. He's yet to pit on that set of the mediums. I'd imagine they're at their limit, and I think he'll decide to come into the pit this lap. If he doesn't, he's just a madman, and he's just completely... He's stuck us the middle finger because he doesn't care what we think he's doing, because he's going to do whatever the hell he wants. He's currently losing time to Stahelek, which is reasonable to think, but he's in a brilliant position, and once he pits, I'd imagine he'll come out around the area of about Sam McBride, maybe a little bit behind. I'd say he is going to be ahead of Neon, and if he isn't ahead of Neon, I'd say he's going to catch him and overtake him, because he's going to have 3 laps fresher, so fresher tyres than him. So I'd say he's going to be in a great position. He stayed out though. He's still going to run on this set of medium tyres he's been on since the beginning of the race. He's really going for this strategy. He's going hell for leather and all or nothing, I'd say.
I think he's running him a bit long now. If he doesn't come in this time around, I think he's pushing it too far, as Ghetto now gets the fastest lap. That's down in 13th place as he's chasing off after his teammate. Chanakinchi has come in again for soft tyres. He had another new nose on the Aston, so his race has gone from bad to disastrous. But yeah, Tom Martinez, I think he's running that too long, but Stahelek cannot shake off that pack behind him. Sam Bean, Pedreño and Paris Burrell, and Andres Dormeyer is not far behind. He cannot break free of them, so that early pace advantage is now swung back the other way.
Yeah, and this is where I was talking about the ERS management, which has come back to bite him, because he's only got 15% in the back train. He's using that up just to try and break DRS to Samuel Bean. I think he's actually managed to do it, as I think he just dipped his toe in there. Samuel Bean, as Tom Martinez finally boxes into the pit, and that leaves Piotr Stahelek into the lead of this race, with Samuel Bean not too far behind. Ruben Pedreño feeling the pressure from Paris Burrell, and Andreas Dormeyer not too far back. I wonder when these drivers want to start fighting, because Pedreño is actually beginning to lose DRS to Samuel Bean in front of him, as Getone beats his previous best fastest lap, so he is the quickest driver on circuit at the moment. as we'll see what can Paris Barrel do, because I think he is going to be the next driver to try for an opportunity. Samuel Bean as well could be looking for a move here. It's all really kicking off on lap number 25. I don't know who to follow. I think we should follow Paris Barrel, possibly going for this overtake, because he seems closer to Pedreño than Samuel Bean is to Starlek, because we've got yellow flags. I think that's Chanakinchi off in the back as Pedreño rides over the curbs, and that's really going to hamper him there.
Yeah, that's a very big spin for Chanakinchi. Another dead front wing on the Aston. That's probably going to be him parking that one, I'd have thought. Tom Martinez did indeed beat Sam McBride. Oh, go on.
Paris going for the move up the inside line in towards turn number 1. Chanakinchi out this session, but Paris Barrel makes the overtake that he's been waiting for. They have lost DRS to Samuel Bean in front of them, but it is only 1.4 seconds. He can pull that gap with two laps fresher tyres. So I'd imagine he will close up, as Dylan Warren is also out of this race. Has he lost that on circuit? He's lost it on circuit, and safety car.
Okay, well, that really...
laughing.
Yeah, he's Dylan Warren's car is beached on the run down to turn 1. I couldn't quite get a view of it, but I tell you what, that's going to help Boehner. He's straight into the pits. He's ditching those hard tyres that he was forced onto. Oh, all bets are off now. I tell you, this really helps is Tom Martinez, because he's just pitted onto those soft tyres. Oh, Starlet's going to be livid. This is the last thing he needed.
Yeah, and I think anyone with a penalty is going to be fuming. And those are HX4K, Yari Fitz. I don't remember Yari Fitz actually getting a penalty.
Speeding in the pit lane.
Oh, speeding in the pit lane. So 5 seconds for each of these drivers. Samuel Bean, Yari Fitz and HX4K. And of course, Stahalek with his penalty to come after the race. As he's just got to... He'll get that removed. 100%.
Yeah, he's coming to the pits. So he's going for the soft tyres. Well, I mean, why not, I suppose. He's not the only one. Crikey. So Lewis Welch, Hawk and Sam McBride all coming in to go on to soft tyres. It ain't all done yet. Oh, my goodness me. So Sam Bean leads the way on part or medium tyres. Tom Martinez now up into 6th position. He's only got 1 lap on those soft tyres. Oh, advantage Alpine, but can he get past the 5 ahead of him? We only need to deal with 3 of them. Really, this could go anywhere.
I'd say it's worth the gamble, I think the drivers that are pitting have played this pretty damn smart. And actually, some of these drivers have shook off their time penalties. Actually, it's just HX4K. Yeah. He doesn't have that 5-second penalty to deal with anymore. But I'm wondering about that 3 seconds for Stahalek, because it could go either of 2 ways. If it was unfair in the way that he got the penalty, he'll get that removed. But then he could have cut the pit line, which actually damned him in front. Got him a 5-second time penalty for cutting the pit entry line. So he could have done it again here. It's not looking good for Stahalek. But he is in 7th position at the moment, and he's on the faster, soft compound of tyres. We'll see if he's going to really play the aggressor here and attack Tom Martinez as soon as possible. So we'd have to watch their battle at the moment. But now, with all drivers following behind the safety car, there's mandatory 2 laps that they have to fill. As the running order at the moment is Samuel Bean with a 5-second time penalty, Paris Barrel in 2nd, 3rd for Pedreño, then down the rest of the order, Andreas Dormeyer, Yari Fitz, Tom Martinez, Piotr Stahalek, Shazoo Neon, there's a penalty there coming out for HX4K and Sam McBride.
Oh dear.
Jeffrey Ritchie in 9th, 10th for Get Owned, Villacampa in 11th, 12th for Louis Welch, then the two culprits here, I think, whoa, John Evans, HX4K, doesn't have a front wing. What happened?
Could possibly have been a lag moment there. No, he does not have a front wing at all. So, well, that's his day done. In fairness, he's that's going to be pretty uncomfortable for him. Ooh.
Oh dear.
Well, I don't know how. I genuinely have no idea how this is going to go. I reckon. If Martinez doesn't get too many penalties, I think the advantage is with that Alpine.
I'd have to agree with you there, because he's got these tyres completely fresh. If it was Neon in his position, I'd say he might not be as fated really to go for an overtake. Safety car coming in this lap as Neon's actually a spin. I just caught the end of that there, and there's another car off. What is happening? It's HX4K going off the road. It's carnage on the safety car. Neon retires on circuit.
Neon's out. Neon is out, but his AI is carried on.
Session.
Oh no! Oh my god! No way!
They're all yet. No.
Oh, Jeffrey Ritchie's just got a 5-second penalty. This is madness. This is utter madness. Kristen, oh my god! Now Kristen Hausman's got a penalty apparently for hitting Ulsman. What the hell's going on here?
We're back underway racing. It's towards turn 1. Yari Fitz look up the inside line. Martinez is back in the session. I think he's going to be absolutely fuming that he must have just disconnected. It's pandemonium on circuit at the moment, but we are back underway racing. I think we just got to ignore what's happened there behind as Yari Fitz seems to be the closest man on circuit to a driver in front, but Piotr Starlek looking for a move as well. Yari Fitz closing so close to the back of Andreas Dormer. He could look for a movement towards turn 8, but indeed, we've lost our deltas there as Andreas Dormer also it's kicking off at the moment. I don't know what to watch here.
Oh, you got to feel for Tom Martinez. He was there in 6th position, probably the best tyres in to take advantage of, and then boom, he just drops. You don't want to see it, but I tell you what, this has now put the advantage to pretend. I don't think it's enough laps for Starlek to undo his penalty. He might get to the front of this pack, but I don't think he's going to undo his penalty enough. This now belongs to Paris Burrell and Ruben Pedreño.
Yeah, they could be winning the race at the end of this one as Louis Welch sets the fastest lap. He's in 10th position at the moment. He could actually be challenging his TF10 compatriot of Villa Camper. Much fresher soft tyres on the Alpine car, and possibly in towards turn number 3. He could look for a move as Yari Fitz sliding all about the circuit. Louis Welch trying to look to the outside line as Ghetto sneaks up the inside of Yari Fitz. Here comes Louis Welch on board with the Alpine car, going side by side with Villa Camper. That was not enough in. Louis Welch off, and he's lost his front wing there. Oh, heartbreak for both Alpine cars today. They looked like in such strong stead, and it's completely unraveled for them.
Oh, goodness me. As Azildrum has been in the pits again, he's served a penalty as Starlek has just nailed Andreas Dormeyer on the exit of turn 3. I think it was turn 3. He's just done that one. No, beg your pardon. That was turn 9. He's just done that one. So now both of the Alpha Tauri is 3rd and 4th, but I would imagine Pedreño is just going to let Starlet go. Actually, he won't have a choice because Starlet's had a great run coming through turn 13. It might go Starlet's way. I don't see that he's got enough time to use the advantages of those tyres enough. So this could still belong to Paris Burrell.
Well, if there's a will, there's a way, and Piotr Stahalek, credit to him, he is fighting with all of his might at the moment. Louis Welch ties in the pit lane understandably. I think HX4K has gone for a spin at the rear of the field. And he's actually stationary.
He's now just going again. That was a bit of a worry. He was stationary on the racing. Yeah, he was stationary on the racing line. So I'm not really surprised that's happened because he was sat still. He wasn't AI controlled. He was just sat there. So, well, he's the only Mercedes out there, so he can't be trying to do a tactic to benefit his teammate. He doesn't have one. So I don't know what's happened there, but that's a bit. Oh dear, don't want to see that.
No, what I think has happened there is that he's had a spin and then he's stopped it on circuit to bring out a safety car. And I just feel if that is the case, that surely cannot be on. As that also limits us to how much more action we get. Samuel Bean still leading this one. It's going to bunch up the field once again. That's I'd imagine that'll be investigated. But ever since the safety car, the entire race has flipped completely on its head.
Several times.
I was praising. Oh dear, he's been disqualified somehow. Interesting, that one. He calls the safety car and then gets disqualified.
Yes, don't know what's happened there unless there's some kind of desync, but no idea. He's The game has deemed it he's illegally blocked, so we're down to 14.
14.
Wow, 5 cars gone.
Yeah, in the space of just a couple of laps.
That's a shame. We were talking, weren't we, not that long ago, that the driving standards were that much higher than they were last week, and sadly that form book has gone.
Yeah. Well, he's been disqualified now, and I think it's in the steward's hand. It's in their hands as to what they want to do. As a safety car, it's not going to be out for too much longer, I would imagine. I think we've got one more lap underneath safety car regulations. Samuel Bean leading this race. Paris Burrell in the net lead at the moment, given the fact that he hasn't got any penalties. Samuel Bean has 5 seconds, and then Starlex got 8 seconds to his name at the moment. So really struggling there for him. Pedreño is also in a great position at the moment, fourth at this point. AlphaTauri really looking strong. Out of nowhere, Haas have also been very they've been pretty solid this race. As I'm just kind of stumbling through at the moment because I'm not really sure what to say and what's gone on here.
No, quite right. I'm pretty lost for words myself as Alyssa Zildrim is catching the back of the field. So the safety car, is it this lap he's going to be in? I've already lost track. I wasn't really paying attention to what the safety car was doing, but well, some controversy with this race because we needed more of that. Oh no, what's happened to Houseman? He's spun.
He's got no way.
Oh my goodness! So down to the tail end of the field as Hawk has left the session. Oh goodness me! As Houseman now down to 14, so we still have things going on. Has he lost his front wing?
He's got no front wing.
He has. Oh dear! More discarded carbon fibre as the field works its way through turn 8. Not the race we would have hoped for. It was going well until the first safety car.
Yeah, it was brilliant, and then it all just went crazy as a safety car now pulling in this lap. So we've got to put the last couple of laps behind us and look forward to the final 3 here. We're going to be back underway racing, beginning of lap 34. It's now Samuel Bean's discretion as to when and where they go, and he's going to stack up the field as much as he wants. It's his discretion. What's he going to do as he's going so slow here. Oh, penalty for Paris Burrell. I think he'd get that one removed because I was
going to say Paris is ahead of Starlack. Yeah. I thought it was the other way around, but yeah, like I said, I think that one will be removed. That one will be ignored. But here we go. There goes Starlack on. Well, that certainly helped with Starlack's ERS problem. As Dormeyer and Pedreño are having an argument. Houseman in the pits, of course, he's probably going to park that one. Andreas Dormeyer has won out on that battle for.
Pedreño!
Oh no! Oh. Another one has fallen. That's down at turn 3. So
no wing for Richie.
Is that going to cause another safety car, do we think? Because I think that car's quite close to the track. Jeffrey Ritchie has left the session. He was already out. So what happened to... Oh, Jeffrey Ritchie has also fallen foul.
He straight lined it into the wall. He had no front wing after contact with again another driver without a wing. The marshals are very busy in this race. I think it's too late in this one for a safety car, and I'm not going to be around the bush. I'm quite frankly disgusted with how this race has turned out. It was going so well, and it's panned out like this as Piotr Stahalek is going to go. He's not going to go for the move. No DRS, of course, as he does set the fastest lap of the session so far. He's not going to have a look on Samuel Bean.
No, he's not at all. So realistically, this on track. The win is going to go at the moment to Andreas Dormeyer, but with that strange penalty for Paris Burrell, I would imagine it's going to be looked at. Oh, Starleck and Bean very, very close together. That's surely the pace advantage is going to go to Starleck, but that's all going to be pretty much for nothing. As that 8 seconds penalty is 3 in-game penalty is going to drop him quite the way down the field anyway. But with the additional 5 seconds, he's going to finish outside of the points. It's a great shame. We really have had a great race ruined. As Zildrum and Sam McBride side by side are banging into one another, coming through turn 10 and 11, and as Zildrum has spun, it is all going just ridiculously wrong now. And as Zildrum has retired from the session, his car is still on track. DRS is enabled for what is worth a final. This is a shame because, like you say, it was such a great race. Sam Bean's gone a bit deep into turn 1, whether he was nudged or pushed, I have no idea. But it's turned a bit farcical, unfortunately. Starlix has now got the lead, but he's not got enough time to really make it count. I'm lost for words at this point.
Yeah, at this point, I'd say that I don't know what is the fate of this race. Who's even going to end up winning? I feel bad for all the stewards as well because they're going to be very busy. As we do have to watch, I think, at least the leaders at the final lap in this one. I'm not even sure whether this race will even be considered for points. That's up to the discretion of the admin team, I'd imagine. But Piotr Stahelek, in all the adversity, still has that 5-second penalty to deal with, and among many more. I don't even know who to call the winner of this one, but Stahelek is going to come up to the line, and on track at least, he will take the win. But after all the penalties are applied, I think it's Andreas Dormeyer. Yeah, Andreas Dormeyer wins. The grid completely shakes up here, but I would say take this with a huge chunk of salt, just a whole brick of it, because I think all of this is going to change.
Yeah, completely. Houseman's actually spun again. That's why that race hasn't actually deemed to be done. Of course, you've got loads of unserved penalties in there, so now Ghetto is up to second. And Villacampa third. Boehner, considering he was the first one to pit, he was on hards for a while. There's now in fourth. As I don't know what we're going to do for interviews, or should we skip them this time because we don't know who to interview?
I don't think we're going to be doing interviews here.
No, I'm with you there. I'm with you there.
I don't think it's but well, on top it's Andreas Dormeyer, Ghetto in second, and Villacampa in third, on track at least, of course, without pending stewards results. I would like to apologise on behalf of the drivers for what has been displayed today. We thought it was going well, and then it just completely unravelled. Drivers aren't taking this serious, and well, there's going to be some strong words, I think, between the admin team and the drivers. This is not representative as to what they are normally like, so we do apologise. As there's your full comprehensive list of results. A lot of DNFs in this one. I think 11 drivers finished this race, but yeah, we'll bring you to the end screen here. That brings us to the end of what was a pretty unfortunate race, I would say. Yeah, it was going so well. Then the safety car came out, and it was just like that. You know what? Let's throw the rule book out. Let's just drive like we're in an open lobby. But I think realistically we have no other words at the moment. But next week, hopefully next week will be a lot better than this. We're headed to the Temple of Speed. We're going to Monza in Italy. One of the most famous circuits, and hopefully a more easy circuit for drivers to race on. As I think that brings us to an end. If you'd like to see more PSGL action, then please do subscribe and join our Discord down in the description. Tomorrow is, of course, the star attraction. We've got the PSGL PC F1 grid commentated by George Morgan and Jack Canan. That'll be on at 7 p.m. tonight. But from us, I think it is goodbye, and we will see you all next time. So we'll see you, everyone. Have a good evening, and goodbye.